Hey everybody, it's Shiri. Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for being with me here today, and let's get started. Today's video is called Why You Should Never Take Advice from Coconuts. Now you're probably wondering, what is a coconut? Well, a coconut is a person who has a life that you don't want, is either miserable with themselves, and the reason that I say coconut, if you're wondering like why coconut, they tend to be kind of hollow on the inside. Get this image in my head of a coconut falling off a coconut tree, just like somebody brings people down in a way.
And this is no shade to coconuts. I really enjoy the scent and the flavor. So many health benefits. So this is not really a shade, but this coconut could be any fruit you want.
A coconut could be somebody in your own family. It could be a manager. It could be a friend. Could be an authority figure in your life. It could be anybody that just wants to give you advice who has a life that you don't want. So that would be a coconut. They're rooted in regret. They're rooted in insecurity. They're rooted in feeling a need to kind of make other people feel bad about themselves, to lift themselves up. They could be a bully. They could be somebody who pretends to be super nice to you and say things kind of passive to your face, whatever, but then turns out they are actually not a nice person. Could be anybody. And what these coconuts like to do is they like to tear you down or give you advice thinking they're being helpful, or basically under the guise of what they would do if they were you, or to try to give you advice that actually secretly harms you or kind of matches how they led their life, so that, you know, you don't perhaps surpass them or make better choices than them. How to determine a coconut is you examine all the things I just told you. And on top of that, you look at key areas of their life. You can't always spot a coconut from a mile away. I think the first thing we all do as humans is we look at another human and we analyze them. All of us don't want to admit it, but we judge people, you know, and it's not on purpose per se, but you look at somebody's appearance. Now, depending on everybody individually, you question to yourself, does this person have the appearance that you would like, or the physique that you would like? Do they have hobbies and activities that you would want? Do they carry themselves the way that you would want to, or the way that you are trying to? Do they dress a certain way? Do they look a certain way? How hygienic are they? Do they care about, and this it's not specifically specified towards things that you cannot control. Now, when I say appearance, this is things you can control. So this would be hygiene, this would be clothing, this would be physical activity. Does this person like to go on walks all the time? Does this person have the time to go on walks? Does this person like to play sports? Do they like to dance? Do they go to the gym? What you do in your spare time, it reflects on your outer shell. What you put in your body, what you do, it shows. So it really isn't about, when I say appearance, I just want to make it clear, this isn't anything that people cannot control. Now, you analyze appearance, so you analyze how they carry themselves, their traits, how they present themselves, their mannerisms, even how they talk. I know that's not appearance, but that's something you can also analyze. How do they speak? Are they clear? Are they confident? Are they poised? Do they stutter? Do they speak with aggression and tone? Are they passive? Are they gentle? How do they talk? You also look at the coconut said person and be like, how do others feel around this person? Do other people like being around them? Do other people like talking to this person? Is this person well liked among who they interact with? If this is somebody that you're in a friend group, how do the other people feel interacting with this person? If this is a manager, how do the other colleagues feel speaking to this person? Do you notice themselves diminishing themselves? Do you notice themselves feeling uplifted? Do you notice their tone changes? Do you notice them regressing? Do you notice them feeling confident and open to be themselves? How does this person make other people feel? You also analyze a coconut by how do they make you feel, especially when they speak to you. Do they belittle you? Do they bring you up? Do they uplift you? How do you feel when you leave an interaction with said coconut or said person? How do you feel? Are they healthy? Are they unhealthy? How do they carry themselves? Are they well rested? Do they seem kind of tired all the time? These are things you really need to analyze, especially with these kinds of people, because they really let you examine if you are willing to accept or take their advice as valid to you. And I think it's so important because a lot of the times you'll hear advice or you'll hear people say things of what you should do, where you should spend your money, what you should do, how you should save, how you should operate in your career, all these types of things. But do you ever question the advice they're giving you is just a perception of what they would do in your position, not necessarily the right thing for you? Everybody is different. Everybody has a different life. Everybody has different goals and paths and routes that they're on, and everybody has different talents and abilities and things they're good at and factors in their personal lives and professional lives that somebody's general advice to one person may not fit to everybody, or somebody's advice to you may not be what you think is right in your situation because you have factors they don't even know about, or they don't live a life that you want to live. I think that it's so important to listen to people who are inspiring, and even if they don't have a life that you want, do you feel uplifted, or is there any piece of information that you resonate with or can take away feeling positive with from interacting with them? And I think that that is so crucial when hearing somebody and hearing their advice or their suggestions or recommendations and taking them as valid for yourself. And I think a lot of the time, being in my early 20s and being at the start of my career and meeting tons of different people, I think it's so great that everybody's so different. But with that being said, hearing advice from people of what you should do with your life, you should really just take that with a grain of salt. Don't fixate over the things that people say that bring you down, especially if they don't have a life that you want to live yourself. And people with lives that you don't want may have great suggestions and advice, and that's something you could take with a grain of salt as well. But it's important to analyze and not just think, oh, this person has this title, or think this person is older than me, or think this person knows more because they're in this group, or they have had this much experience. It doesn't matter. I think what matters is, do they have a life that you want to live yourself? And if they don't have a life that you want to live yourself, but are there parts of their lives that you would like to take into your own life, and really take those into account before deciding whether you want to implement that into your own life, or before deciding that advice is valid or you need to take action on these things. And I think that this personally affects me because I've definitely had a couple of coconuts in my life this year tell me what they think I should do, or how they think I am, or tell me I'm not this, or I'm this, or I'm doing enough of this, or I'm not doing enough of that. And I appreciate all the suggestions, but I'm only going to take what resonates with me, and I'm only going to implement advice from people who I respect and people that I see parts of myself in, or that see parts of them that I want to adopt to myself. I feel like everything I say, I'm like, oh, this is near and dear to my heart, but it's like, I overthink a lot of things, and I definitely think this is an important topic to share, especially if you're in your early 20s, or if you're navigating your professional career or personal life, or anything that you want. You should never listen to people who are going to stomp all over your dreams. I think the most important thing in the world is to just go for your dreams. Really put yourself in tons of different environments where you can test yourself and see where you thrive and where you need to work on, and just be the best that you can be, and just really see who's around you and what skills do they have, and what do you want to take, and what skills do you want to learn. So this is just a quick little video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you listening to me and being here with me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll see you in my next video.